Just recently, last week in Michigan, I was part of one of the 12 speakers, one of the health experts. We went to Grand Rapids in Michigan to the Kellogg's headquarters, and we did a rally, a peaceful rally. There was 1,000 people that attended, and we all spoke on the issue with their product. And now we have to cancel Kellogg's. We have to cancel these brands. And the issue with Kellogg's is in 2018, they promised to take out the artificial food dyes and the BHT, which is a preservative. Both are linked to cancer, not just in one study, but in many, many studies. It's not even controversial. It's fact that these things are linked to cancer. They cause cancer, okay? They want to say it politely, it links to cancer. I'm just going to say they cause cancer. Not only that, but they cause infertility. They can cause ADHD. There's a ton of studies how ADHD in kids is insanely high right now. And they know this about the product, but there's no rules in America that they can't use them, and they make so much more money. Like, we did a rough estimate and they would lose like $50 million a year if they were to take these things out. And so of course they're putting profit before people. So selfish. And my speech started with a statistic that every hour in the United States, 70 people die from cancer. 70. And every year, over 17,000 kids are dying from cancer in the United States, and cancer is preventable.
Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.
Hello, I'm Jordan, and this is my brother.
And I'm Nace, and we're at the Grid Down Chowdown, and this is Larry, who is a local rancher that we've partnered with.
Now, Larry, you've been ranching for over 4 generations, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm 3rd generation, my son's 4th generation, and I've got some grandkids that are 5th generation.
Man, that's awesome.
We've been here for quite a while, yeah.
All right, now, Larry, your cattle is grass-fed, grass-finished, and pasture-raised, just like God intended them to be.
Yes, because I want to know what's in that animal,
Right.
What it's been fed. And so the only way to do that is for us to keep it all natural, just like God has done it for years and years and years, thousands of years.
How has partnering up with us helped you and your ranch?
Well, it's allowed us to develop a market that we didn't have before, one that can get directly to the consumer. And
Deception floods our airwaves, but Faith and Freedom TV fights back with truth. Our bold content, news, shows, Bible teachings, worship, and films shines with biblical.
They tried to keep it hidden. They tried to silence the truth. At Operation World Without Cancer, we believe healing begins with knowledge and the courage to choose your own path. In a world clouded by conventional wisdom, we're exposing natural health strategies long kept in the shadows. This is hope. This is truth. This is Hidden Healings Uncensored. So welcome everybody to our newest edition of Hidden Healings Uncensored. You can see our high-tech logos back here in the back. And I'm extremely honored today to bring in my good friend, Leanna Warner-Gray. Here is her book. I didn't put this up for this podcast. This is on the set of every one of our podcasts. And I believe, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I sell more copies of her book than anybody else except Amazon. Is that true, or am I?
That's factual. That's truth. You are a legend. Thank you for helping people with cancer. Oh my gosh.
It's my pleasure. As we both know, it's something that's blown up beyond all recognition right now. And so my time is, we figured out that I had to multiply my time. Nothing special about me, just like you do. We got to get the word out there to people because everybody's asking. I'm getting texts from the most amazing people. Yesterday morning, I was on with Roger Stone, and we were talking about, RFK Jr. and Trump and Roger's wife getting over cancer using natural remedies. And so what a great timing to have you on. And like I said, I want to talk about all of your books. I know you're not just a single author. I want to tell people about where they can find you and all those things. But I want to tell a story first. This is an interview about you, and I don't tell the story often, but the first time I met you, you were a big celebrity on the stage at Cancer. It was The Truth About Cancer with Ty and Charlene Bollinger, and you gave an amazing speech about your battle with cancer. We're going to talk about that. But afterwards, I walked up to you and you were super friendly. And I said, had you ever heard of apricot seeds? And you said, absolutely, I have. My mom used those so I'm not trying to steal the thunder, but that's how we first met. And we've become soul friends, and we've met together. We've talked about life histories. And so it really is an honor and a pleasure for me to have you on here, because I consider you a true friend and a true, battler in this battle of getting the hidden healings uncensored and getting them out to the world. So welcome, Leanna. How are you?
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm doing great because I just love having conversations like this, and I'm so grateful to you. And you and Chris are some of my most favorite people ever on this planet. Authentic people, who believe in people over profits and about actually helping people and this mission. So yeah, I'm doing so well. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
Well, so why don't we tell people, because this may be the first time on this platform that people have ever heard of you or met you, and they only know me because I happen to be the host. So tell me about your journey with the big C, as we like to call it. But on this network, there's no censorship, so you don't have to worry about anything that you say being taken off the air, because the entire platform is about the truth. And so please don't feel like you have to censor yourself in any way. And we don't use this we don't try to put it on YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. So tell people about your health journey, how it started.
Awesome. Okay, I love that. And I just want to point out, so you didn't quite finish the sentence before when you said how my mom used the apricot seeds for breast cancer.
Yes.
And she's now 10 years cancer-free.
That's amazing. And
amazing. Yeah.
And I've got something I'll share with you. If we have time, I'll share with you about something I didn't even know the last time I talked to you. So I'll share that with you on here as well. Get your reaction to that. But go ahead and tell your story. Why should people listen to you? I know why, but tell people why they should listen to you.
Yeah. So my story starts back in Australia, where I'm from. I was born and raised in Australia. I grew up in outback Australia in Alice Springs. It's a town right in the center of Australia. And I went to an Aboriginal school. So half the kids were white, half the kids were Aboriginal. And we learned I was going to school at 3, but I can remember from age 5, the Indigenous people having an impact on me. And the Indigenous people lived for thousands of years before white men and thousands of years before civilization. And they just relied on God for everything. They relied on God so much that they believed that different foods in nature that looked like organs were there to help those certain organs. They thought, okay, if a walnut looks like a brain, God wants us to eat that for the brain. Or a tomato, for the heart, or a pepper looks like a heart valve. Cauliflower, broccoli, etc. looks like lungs. And so they entirely.
That's so true. People need to think about that. I know you've had a chart that I've seen that shows
Doctrine of signatures. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. And then when science came along, science proved that every single one of their ideas on the doctrine of signatures is 100% correct. So they have a proven effective way of living before civilization came along. And also they had 0 cancer. There was no such thing as cancer, and they lived long, healthy lives. They didn't die.
I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that before. I really don't think I knew that before. I know we talk about the Hunzas and the Eskimos, but I didn't know that about the Outback. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no cancer, no diabetes, no obesity. They had, long lives, and they also believe that you could heal anything with using foods that God provides, and with having the community come together and help with energy together. So that was imprinted in my brain from a young age. And then, as much as I love living in the outback, grew up going camping and barefoot and eating natural foods. My parents were super strict, which was great. But then when I moved to Brisbane City, when it started in Alice Springs first, when I hit 16, I started to experience severe emotions from a very traumatizing home life. So I was dealing with sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, highest level kinds of abuse that people can experience, right? And I didn't know how to deal with it, and I suppressed it. And so I was in so much pain that I found a drug of choice, which for me was food. So I found myself going to 7-Eleven and eating fast foods, and I would eat a lot of lollies, which is candy in Australia, McDonald's, like all the stuff. And I would eat refined sugar and get a sugar high for 5 minutes. It would give me a break. It would give me a space between my suffering and the pain for about 5 minutes. I would get a high, because then the body's releasing all the serotonin. It literally is like a drug. And then would come crashing down feeling terrible after, because it can cause bloating and inflammation and acidity in the body, sluggishness, creates anxiety because those things are anxiogenic. And so I was always chasing that high with food. So I was constantly in this vicious cycle of addictive eating, and it lasted for 5 years. And those out there who have been a binge eater before, or an emotional eater or overeater, can relate.
That was from 16 to 21 about okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Every day was a living hell, like actual hell on earth. Right. And it's don't wish that on anyone. It's terrible. So then, and I remember writing in my journal, was like, what do I need? Do I need to get cancer for me to wake up and not do this anymore? I couldn't. It was beyond my control. I just couldn't do it. The addiction felt stronger. I had all these emotions from the abuse I did not know how to process. They don't teach kids this in school, right? They don't teach kids the most important things in school, which is nutrition, how to live a long, healthy life, and here's what to do with trauma, because a lot of people have big trauma. And apparently in the United States, it's 1 in 4 women are being sexually abused and 1 in 3 men.
Well,
these stats are so high.
That's an epidemic of its own, and that's another problem we need to solve. And probably someday we could have a whole conversation about that.
Totally.
God's been bringing in my life about that. I'd love to catch up with you about that. But anyway, keep going.
That's a whole separate subject. But
yes.
That kind of trauma leads to cancer, right? And now I've been a nutritionist and a health coach for the last 15 years, and I've seen so many people with cancer, right? Hundreds and hundreds of people with cancer, and majority goes back to some kind of trauma from childhood. So interesting correlation. So anyway, then I was 21, and sure enough, I ended up with cancer. I had a 3.7 centimeter tumor, that's the size of a golf ball, in my throat right here in my lymphatic system. And I went to the hospital, I did a biopsy, and I remember sitting there waiting for the results coming back, thinking, what have I done to myself? Because I knew I'd done it to myself because of my upbringing, because I knew better. But just because I knew better, I knew how to eat healthy. I knew that eating the God's foods would keep me healthy and strong, but I couldn't help it because I was in so much pain, right? And I had an actual addiction. And then, so that was my big wake up call. And also what I learned from the indigenous people is if you go to the hospital and just get something cut out, like a surgery, and you don't also address the root cause, it's going to come up somewhere else, which is why people's cancer comes back again and again and again, because they're not actually healing the root cause. So I was terrified.
Amen, sister. Amen. Are you familiar with Cassie Means, Dr. Cassie Means?
Love Dr. Cassie
Means
and Callie Means. Yeah.
We could have a go sideways. I'm not going to, but anyway, we go ahead. Keep with your story, because our audience doesn't know your story. So I got to stop interrupting. Go ahead.
So then I was more afraid of surgery than going the natural route and healing. So I went and worked with a naturopath and a functional doctor, and they looked at me and they were like, you need to heal your gut. Your gut is so messed up. There's so many toxins. There's like 5 years of so much conventional meat and fast food and refined sugars and gluten and dairy. It's just a mess. They're like, we need to cleanse your gut. So they gave me a detox protocol. And, who knows at that point how long it's going to take. It ended up only taking me 3 months with this protocol to heal the tumor completely dissolved back into my body, back into my lymphatic system.
3 months.
Out of my body. 3 months.
Wow.
For some people, it's sooner. Some people, it's longer. We never know. But when you get on the natural healing detox path, and most people that have cancer do need to have a detox, because it's the body's way of saying, like, there's too much toxins. There's too many disease cells in the body. So I did an amazing detox plan.
You would say you're a believer in the fact that the body can reabsorb all the healthy cells that surround the tumor. Would you say that doing surgery 9 times out of 10 is not the right choice? I know you're not a doctor, but your body can assimilate that back into your immune system by just eating the right foods and detoxing and doing all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really do believe that. And, I'm a big science person. Science also shows that that's possible. And, and also a lot of doctors have said that some people get cancer and they don't even realize it, and they'll never know, but they might have had it for a month or 2 or 6 months, but their body just naturally healed and corrected itself, which the body always wants to do, if we're in the right health.
Right. Absolutely. So that's, that's an amazing story. It took you. And so you were by that time 22 or?
I was still, I was coming into 22. Yeah.
Okay. And so what were if you could pick the top 3 foods, the top 3 healing foods that you ate at that time, what would those be?
Well, I would say the 3 main things would be, the first thing would be that I did was colonics and coffee enemas. And that's a great way to detox the gut. It's such a great, powerful way just to clean everything out. And I know it's not for everyone, but it's a really great way to clean out. The second thing was I was drinking bentonite clay every single day. And bentonite clay is, and now I'm one of the biggest advocates in the world for bentonite clay and can speak all day long about it, but it is here for our healing. It's for those of you that don't know real quickly, it's from when a volcano erupts, it creates lava. And when the lava breaks down, it goes into ash. And they call that ash bentonite clay, which is so symbolic, right? From ashes to beauty. And the bentonite clay has strong magnetic properties. And what it does is when we drink it, it absorbs heavy metals, parasites, toxins, worms, like a magnet. It locks it, takes it out of the body, and it purifies the body. And all the indigenous people from all around the world who live around volcanoes and who lived around volcanoes for thousands of years before civilization came around were drinking it to purify the body. That's what it was known for. And I did a blood test. I was riddled with parasites, and cancer and parasites go hand in hand. Actually, a high percentage of people with cancer have parasites. So
I totally agree with that. We can talk about that as well. So
so I always recommend drink the clay.
My belief from everything I know is that when the body's immune system's lower from eating the wrong foods, we're not doing the right things, then the parasites attack, and they're kind of, that's when they attack. So in this world we live, there's so much parasite problems that we need to attack both ends, both our nutritional side and killing those parasites. So keep going about the bentonite clay. Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I was drinking that daily. So that was, clearing out the parasites. And then the third thing was juicing. So that was, I had to restore nutrition back into my body, right? Because the clay and the colonics was taking out all the toxins and all the bad stuff. And then I really researched and went down the rabbit hole of like, okay, what's the fastest way to put nutrition back into my body and to build a new body? And I learned about cellular memory, which is an amazing science that says that we actually do create a brand new body. We get new organs, we get new blood, we even get new bones eventually. Some things take months, some organs take months. Blood is really quick to get new. We can do a natural blood transfusion with green juice and coconut water. It's fascinating. And so I learned that juicing, like a vegetable juice, was the fastest way to create new cells and kill the old cancer cells. So I was drinking 6 juices a day, 1 juice every hour, green juice, beet juice, green juice, beet juice. And I had this visual of like new body being built, old body going out, new body in, cancer out, nutrition in, toxins out. And I quickly regenerated. And I really believe that's a big reason to why it just took 3 months, because I created a brand new body and I helped my lymphatic system so much just to flush out all the toxins. And I just want to point out too, with the juices that I was doing, it wasn't just vegetable juice. A lot of people are so afraid, like, don't have fruit, it's too much sugar. You know who created fruit? Was God. And it's a big blessing to us. It's the sweetness of life. There are so many vitamins and minerals and nutrients. And, maybe some people are doing a candida cleanse and you stay away from fruit for a little bit, but we were designed to eat fruit. And I was so addicted to refined sugar. I would have like a block of Cadbury chocolate and a packet of Tim Tams in one sitting. Wow. So I was putting a ton of pineapple in my juice, apples in my juice, and I did not feel bad about it at all. And it was so sweet. And that helped me to not crave refined sugar. And that helped to really heal my body. So there's a time and place for everything, for sure.
Absolutely. So I don't want to put you on the spot and I don't want you to answer anything that you don't feel like answering, but when you would blend your apples, did you throw the core and the seeds in there and everything at the same time? Or did you clean out the seeds and the core at the time?
I believe I was cleaning the seeds and the core out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna say it's good, right?
Yeah, I was going to say it's good because they lie to us and tell us that the seeds of the fruit aren't good for you. So I'm sure you're getting, as I say, and you and I have talked about, you're getting some amygdalin because 30% of the foods that are found naturally that animals harvest on or eat have amygdalin in them. That's why wild animals don't get disease. And we talk about the Aborigines that eat the wild foods, but many people are afraid of the seeds. And Genesis 1:29, I always like to read this, and I know you've heard it before, but behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit, you shall have them for food. So we talked about in the beginning, and again, this is not an advertisement for people to eat apricot seeds or apple seeds or peach seeds, but I truly believe that's one of the things that's missing from our Western diet, that when it's in the diet, like it is with the Aborigines or the Hunzas from northern Pakistan, or the Eskimos who eat the bile duct of the moose, that they're getting lots of amygdalin in their diet. And so that was one of the conversations you and I had on early in our friendship, was that, why don't you talk about amygdalin? And what was your response to me when I said, why don't you talk about amygdalin?
Yeah, well, I didn't know about it when I was healing, right? I didn't know about amygdalin, and I didn't know about sulforaphane. And there's so much stuff out there saying don't have the seeds, like all the misinformation stuff. But then later, a few years later, when my mom was going through the healing, that's when I knew about B17. That's when I knew about the apricot seeds.
Ah, okay. Well, that's fascinating, and it's more. So, what are some of your tools for healing trauma and soul wounds? What are your tools for doing that?
Yeah, well, the soul wounds part is more with, healing with God versus the nutritional part. And, I do believe that God heals through his foods, and he wants us to eat the foods that he created and designed, and that can absolutely heal our body and in turn also heal soul wounds. But soul wounds is more of like less relying on ourselves, right? And more of praying to God's and just acknowledging that there are wounds, because a lot of time when I'm treating people with cancer, I look at the whole person as a whole, and some people's diet is immaculate. Like, so they're so healthy. They've been healthy for 10, 15 years. And I'm like, okay, so this is not a physical thing here. It doesn't look like you've gotten the cancer from having glyphosate contamination. There's something deeper. And then I will say, what kind of wounds do you have? And a lot of different teachers like Joyce Meyer, et cetera, they'll believe that, depression is linked to a soul wound, or sexual abuse creates a soul wound. So that's just praying to God and asking to heal that part of it. And whenever I'm working with someone, we want to do healing for all of it. But some people, they haven't gone through trauma. They've just eaten really terribly for 20 years. And for them, it's just, okay, we're just going to hit it from the physical angle. They don't particularly have a soul wound. But I always want people to check. Let's just check all the boxes to make sure, so that at the end of the day, you can go to sleep feeling good. Like, okay, yeah, I'm doing everything that I know that I can to heal cancer.
Well, amazing. And that whole system, my dad believed the same thing. Everybody that's watching knows the story of my father. And he said, your relationship spiritually is also an important thing. You can't, if you don't believe that you're going to heal from cancer, then it's a much harder job too. And most of the time it doesn't even happen. So my lovely wife is actually, she knew I was going on with you today, and she loves you dearly. And so she asked me to ask you a question. What foods made you feel better while you were sick? What foods? We talked about the fruits and things like that. What foods made you, feel better while you were sick at that time?
Yeah, that's an easy one. Cacao powder. And cacao powder is still one of my favorite foods today. I have a little bit of it each day. Cacao powder is from the cacao bean, and that's what chocolate was made from. And the Mayans, the Egyptians, used to, worship these cacao beans as currency. They were actually exchanged for currency. They were that valuable. And back then, they would just nibble on half of one or a whole one, and it would release all this energy from their brain and all this serotonin. And it is like a natural mood booster. It's like very much like coffee. They're kind of like cousins, cacao and coffee. And so then when you take the cacao bean and you sun dry it, not roast it, because then it becomes cocoa and it loses most of its nutrients. You just sun dry it or dry it in a dehydrator and it becomes cacao powder, and it's so high in magnesium. So it just relaxes us. It makes us feel so good. There are even studies that show just the smell of cacao or like real chocolate reduces our stress levels and anxiety levels. So I was so severely addicted to chocolate that I was like, I can't eat junk foods anymore. And, a big component to this also was when I got the diagnosis when I was 21, this is the first time I ever prayed in my whole life. I never prayed before. I got on my knees and, I wasn't raised knowing God or Jesus. And I got on my knees and I'm like, God, if you are there, I really need you in my life more than ever now. I've tried everything for 5 years. I don't know what to do. I need something bigger than me. I remember saying bigger than me to help me heal this addiction. And literally within a few days, and I know this was God because I would never have an idea like this. God led me to this idea to create something called the Earth Diet and to eat only foods from the earth for 365 days and to start a blog. This was in 2009 when blogs were just starting. And so that's what I did. I started a blog, called it the Earth Diet, and I declared on there, I'm only going to eat foods from the earth for 365 days. And he said, this is how you're going to break your addiction. And every time you crave something like chocolate, cheesecake, fries, burgers, whatever it is, instead of thinking, oh, I can never have that, think, how can I fulfill this craving in the most natural, wholesome way possible? And then all of a sudden it was like, ding, 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 this is fun. This is a fun exercise. So I started craving chocolate. So then I got some cacao powder from the health food store. I started making it with almond flour, some peanut butter, some honey. I was making chocolate peanut butter bowls. I was making chocolate peanut butter cups. And I make all these kinds of chocolate recipes, chocolate brownies, chocolate muffins, chocolate cakes. And it tasted so good. It was amazing. And it was nourishing me at the same time. And it was healing me at the same time. So that was just really so much fun. And that was a big, big food that made me feel so much better. And that's why I tell people now, like, if you're craving chocolate, don't deprive yourself of that. There's a reason for that. It's a gift from God, cacao. And it also has a lot of anti-tumor effects. It's been proven in science, especially for the brain and the gut. It's excellent for anti-inflammation for the gut.
Oh, it's so amazing because literally how God works. Because this morning, Chris and I were talking about cacao, and we have a gentleman you and I in the past talked about developing a chocolate bar that would actually be healthy for people, made out of cacao and apricot seeds. And believe it or not, someone has come to us with a bar that's 90% cacao and has coconut sugar in it. And so Chris is like vetting that, and I want to share that with you as well.
We're gonna try it.
I'll try it and look at the recipe, because we only want to produce something. We're never going to sell something just because it sells well. We have products that we deal with, but just so amazing that you answered that question, and that was just God just presented this gentleman that's been working on us for a while. Same kind of thing. He loves chocolate, but he wants to introduce a healthy cacao bar that tastes good and also has B17 in it. So, and he came to us. I mean, it's amazing how God will provide that way. So the other question, she said, what's your, and oh, by the way, I've used many times to people that you don't have to deny yourself of happiness or whatever in your food and things like that. You just have to find a healthier answer. You've told me about different things to make ice cream healthy and those type of things. So your recipes, look, that's why I recommend it so highly. I literally said blows off I'm calling you desperately to get another 2 cases of books sometimes. And we went through 10 cases one time when you spoke, and then a follow-up of that. So your book is very popular and people love the recipes. They know they can cook something that's not only, or make something that's not only delicious, but good for them. So it's a really easy thing to do. And I want to talk a little bit later about a project that we may be working on. But my wife, Christina, who you know very well, is studying to get her board certified holistic nutrition with a focus on nutritional medicine from the Energetic Healing Institute. She's actually given up her career in the media because, when we met, she was the CEO of a media company, and that fulfilled her in what she did. But she's always loved making people better and talking to people about health and nutrition. So all the things you're saying, she's parroting to me behind the scenes, getting her actual board certified education. And Dr. Henry Ely, that institute is out here in Phoenix. So it just kind of fits together. And Dr. Henry Ely and I and Chris are going to go out to lunch soon, and we're gonna talk about you and the plans that we have to do something special. But so
amazing.
What is one of your, what's that?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So what is one of your favorite dishes that you enjoy now? Like one of your treats that you do that replaces something that you used to eat that was unhealthy for you, besides cacao.
Besides the chocolate, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm just like thinking of the chocolate I had today. I had this chocolate nougat bar. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. But anyway, other than chocolate, let's see. Ice cream, chips, cookies, cakes. I mean, those are all my favorite. Pancakes. So I design a recipe for everything that we could possibly crave, and that's why I have hundreds of recipes, literally. And then also there's a brand for everything too, which is amazing. Like, we're living in the most exciting and easiest time to be healthy, actually, because there's alternatives for everything. But I would say my favorite would be, one of them would be
Biblical conviction and patriotic courage, free from globalist lies. We empower Christian patriot creators to share faith and liberty. Access thousands of videos on Roku, FireTV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS. Join the battle at faithandfreedom.tv.
like candy, because that's a hard one to replace. When I first started this, 16 years ago, you couldn't find like an alternative type of gummy bear or candy. And nowadays you can get one that's sweetened with stevia that has 3 grams of sugar per bag versus like 50 grams of sugar per bag.
Right. And if it's stevia leaf, even better, right? It's
not the cleanest, honestly. It's like, it could be a better product. It's a Smart Sweets brand. It's an upgrade. But if I was to make one, it would be, regenerative organic. It would be high level. It would be definitely different. But it's not poisoning people in the same way that conventional candy is. So that's an exciting upgrade. And there's a lot more room in the industry for other brands to come in and be even cleaner, be even healthier, even more wholesome. So yeah.
We've you did know this, but we've just recently got it in-house as a custom designed Pop Rocks. I can't say Pop Rocks. I just said it. No,
okay.
Yeah, I just said it, but it's okay. I mean, we call it Vita Rocks. We trademarked the name Vita Rocks, and what it is.
I've had these though.
Oh, you had them from me? Okay.
I had them in Vegas, remember?
Well, that's right. Okay. Well, so now we finally come up with a product. It's branded and everything like that, but it doesn't go down through the intestinal system. It goes through sublingually, so it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So you get a much higher percentage of the nutritional stuff. So we're not even ready to get it, start marketing it, because we really wanted to get it in-house before we did it. But I'm going to make sure you get some of that and try. And it's something that Chris, as you know, can't eat sugar.
Yeah,
she can actually eat this because of the way we sweetened it and the way she designed it. We're really excited about that. So yes, upgrading these treats. We don't have to eat garbage. I'm going to speak to the choir now, and I want you to tell the story, follow up with it. But that in Europe, the same snack food, it has far less poisons and addictive ingredients in it than it does in the United States. Tell the people watching what you were part of in Michigan.
Yeah, so there are 20 ingredients here in America that are banned in every other country except for the United States. They're banned in Europe and India and Australia and the UK and Canada, but they are allowed in the foods here in the United States because they think that Americans are fools and are just going to eat it and keep eating it. But people are starting to wake up now. So just recently, last week in Michigan, I was part of one of the 12 speakers, one of the health experts. We went to Grand Rapids in Michigan to the Kellogg's headquarters, and we did a rally, a peaceful rally. There was 1,000 people that attended, and we all spoke on the issue with their product. And now we have to cancel Kellogg's. We have to cancel these brands. And the issue with Kellogg's is in 2018, they promised to take out the artificial food dyes and the BHT, which is a preservative. Both are linked to cancer, not just in one study, but in many, many studies. It's not even controversial. It's fact that these things are linked to cancer. They cause cancer, okay? They want to say it politely, it links to cancer. I'm just going to say they cause cancer. Not only that, but they cause infertility. They can cause ADHD. There's a ton of studies how ADHD in kids is insanely high right now. And they know this about the product, but there's no rules in America that they can't use them, and they make so much more money. Like, we did a rough estimate and they would lose like $50 million a year if they were to take these things out. And so of course they're putting profit before people. So selfish. And my speech started with a statistic that every hour in the United States 70 people die from cancer. 70. And every year, over 17,000 kids are dying from cancer in the United States, and cancer is preventable. The mainstream media will say that's not true. It is true. We never had cancer before. Cancer is a new age disease. It's from the food. It's from the toxic environment, from the heavy metals and all of these ingredients. So anyway, they promised to take it out by 2018. It's 2024, hasn't taken it out. So the food babe, Vani Hari, hit them up, and they filed some kind of lawsuit on them and said, you lied, you got to take it out. But they refused to acknowledge it. So we went there to the headquarters. They just held up a sign saying, get off our lawn. They did not sit down to meet us or to hear what we had to say. We found out they're secretly trying to sell the product to Mars. And if they sell to Mars this year, the CEO alone will take over $80 million. This is greed at its finest. And, it's so severe. I ended my speech with saying, is this negligence or is this murder? That's really what we're up against. This is so dark, and these people know that it's contributing to cancer. I personally have a close friend who is a friend of someone who used to work on the FDA, who's now in his 90s, and he is riddled with guilt. And you know what he said? He said to my friend, I'm going to hell because I've contributed to killing a lot of people. And you know what? These people have a lot of blood on their hands. They know what they're doing, but they're so obsessed with money. It's really disturbing. So the only way that we're going to get them to change is if the people rise and we truly cancel Kellogg's. Like, we need to reach everyone. We need to tell everyone, like, stop buying these products,
Yeah, once you know this, I was in my hotel lobby and I look at all these foods. I look at Fruit Loops and like all these Kellogg's foods. They're literally, the hotels are serving poison too. And I obviously, after looking into what you had done a little bit, I've known this. I haven't eaten breakfast cereal. I can't even remember the last time, but our kids still crave that because they also put drugs in there that I know cause people to be addicted to it. I know there's studies about it. So,
well, that's a fact, because we know that the companies who own the food company is who? The cigarette companies.
Right.
So when the cigarette companies started to go downhill because everyone realized it was toxic, they started buying the food companies. And then they started working with scientists, which Casey and Callie Means talk about, because they know these scientists who are getting paid off to say lies and that these things are safe and that they're okay. But they work with the scientists to say, how can we make this food more addictive? And then they want us to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks. They want us to be eating all day, every day.
Yep. Well, no wonder. And well, I recently I got to go to a presentation by RFK Jr. and Callie Means, which is the brother of Casey Means. I get them confused to this minute
Totally.
because their names are could be, they're great
Yeah.
people.
Thank you to the parents for that, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that to us all, but it's a whole generation. But people are wondering, where do these people come from? They came out of the blue. Well, these people are very brave. He gave up a lucrative career, taking big pharma money and giving it to congressmen, and he was making plenty of money. And his sister gave up a top position at Stanford Hospital as a surgeon, dropped her scalpel, and her brother said, "You're crazy. What are you doing?" When I've heard them speak on the different large podcasts, I felt like that's my father, speaking on these podcasts, but 30-year-old woman or a 35-year-old woman. So they're heroes of mine. I met Callie in person out here, but here's the punchline to what I'm saying. Maybe he told you the same thing. RFK Jr. sat up there and said he's guaranteed that in 2 years, if he gets elected, or he's part of the team, he's on the transition team already, but if he gets elected, guaranteed within 2 years, he's going to bring our food standards at least to what they are for Europe, Canada, and everywhere else. So they're not putting the poisons in. And then 2 years later, he guaranteed, he said, otherwise you can fire me and I won't run another 8 years, that you can fire me if I don't get rid of all metabolic chronic disease. Do you think that's possible? If you could make a magic wand and know that everybody can follow what you did, I'm not going to put the words in your mouth. Do you think that we can get rid of all chronic disease within 4 years?
I do believe it because I know that anything is possible with God. So I know anything is possible, but has to be with God. But I also know that we are up against the darkest forces in the universe, and that is the enemy. And this is the enemy's world. And these people who are creating these foods, I know a lot of them are Satanists. And this is what a lot of people aren't talking about. These doctors and these health experts, they just see it from the front line of the ingredients and the foods. But what about the spirit that's behind it, the operation that's behind it? We are up against Satan's kingdom. And, we know that the enemy comes to destroy and kill and wants to depopulate and wants to create cancer and wants to create infertility. And this is one way the enemy gets in, is through food. And so it is a massive spiritual battle that's going on right now. But I do believe it's possible if enough people become awake to this and we can come together. Because if we look at the history, if we look at the Bible and the history, a lot of people have come to God and have prayed, and God has turned things around because of their prayers. So I do know it's possible. And America is one of the most blessed countries, right? It's God's country. And that's why this country is so attacked, even more than any other country, because it's a massive spiritual battle. But it's such an exciting time. And I do believe that RFK would do that. And I spoke with him at the Truth About Cancer event, and he is an authentic.
Well, when was that? When did you speak to him?
I don't know the year. I need to look back and see the photo that we have together, but I think it was maybe their second Truth About Cancer event.
Wow, I didn't even know that. And so, yeah, he's kind of a hero of mine. I almost got on his podcast, but unfortunately we were ready to go. It was about to go, and then he got news. I thought it was about the hurricane, but he got news his mom had a stroke. And and then she passed away 2 days later. So his producer said, "Oh, John, we really want you on. We really want to talk." And I was like, I couldn't believe it, because what I talk about, it's censored everywhere, and except on this platform. And you can get my products on the store that's related behind that, which supports this platform. But that's not what this is about. Yes, we need to, just like you need to sell your book to support yourself so you can get your message out there. So I want to make sure that we have your links to the book on my website and anywhere, and all your other books. I know you have other books. That's just the one that I've kind of glommed on as my security blanket. And I always recommend it to people as an add-on to anything they're doing with our company. But I do want to tell you, there was one other thing about that event. What was the big thing that you guys delivered to the thing? I saw it on video.
To the Kellogg's. We delivered 400,000 signatures, which makes it the largest food petition in history.
Wow.
Ever.
And do you have any statistics? I know it just very fresh. This just happened like last weekend. I'm so proud to see you up amongst those people. First of all, I think of you as a superstar in this fight, because you've been fighting this battle long before it became popular. Right now it's popular because we're talking about make America healthy again. You've been on the front lines fighting this battle. I know you've suffered some slings and arrows even in your own personal life, and obviously I have too. But God has sharpened us for such a time as this. And I really see you being a huge part of this thing that you and I both know. I know we can wipe out cancer in 4 years. But I say that to people, like, oh yeah, sure, come on. If I truly believe and I truly have the information and I can be part of the team that tears down these things. You mentioned that FDA agent. You and I have a friend we know who, his name is John. That's his first name. And he's given me permission to put him on this podcast and tell his side. He worked for the FDA for 40 years. And he was part of the team that stopped people from getting natural things out there. He always felt he was doing the right thing, but he's told his story how when people would come, all the rank and file of the FDA really thought they were protecting people from food injuries or bad things or people selling scam stuff. But he said when people would come from the outside, they'd be from Yale University and part of Skull and Crossbones, which is known as a satanic organization. And then they lifted up to the top of the FDA and pass over all the people that have been putting their life and times behind it. So I'm finally going to get him to, we have to edit things. I'm finally going to get him to get on camera to tell his story. Every time he sees me, he comes over to my booth, grabs, 5 to 10 apricot seeds and eats them like snacks right in front of me.
Love it.
He said he knows, they knew this worked and that it caused pain relief. And the FDA knew this. They just were so funded by Big Pharma that they would, make sure that didn't spread like it should have. But they always thought they had good means because, there's somebody that died in India of cyanide poisoning, which you and I know is not true. But I did want to share with you. We have about 8 minutes left, so I'm gonna make sure that everybody gets to where they can talk to you, but or where they can find your information. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever shared this with you. And this is Dr. Harold Manner. Can you see that? My crew after the fact will probably bring it up on the screen so people can see it better. But he was a 30-year professor at Loyola University. Have you ever heard of Harold Manner?
No, I have not.
Okay. He was the head of biology at Loyola University, and he did a study on Laetrile, vitamin A, and enzymes with mice containing tumors that were breast cancer. They're breast cancer tumors. They're bred to do that. And he did a full study and actually wrote a book called The Death of Cancer. Leanna, I had not heard of Harold Manner or that book before 6 months ago. I've been doing this for 30 years. He said on September 10th, 1977, he announced an 89% regression of breast tumors in laboratory mice through enzymes, vitamin A, and B17, Laetrile amygdalin.
Wow.
Dr. Manner, a courageous pioneer researcher, says cancer is not a medical problem and never will be. It's a metabolic problem.
Metabolic.
Mastectomy may now be a thing of the past. Now, this is 40 years ago. How many women's breast removal surgeries, breast mastectomies would have been saved? Beyond that, I did not know this before. He did a study on 15 women a year later that had been sent home to die of breast cancer. They had given up all hope for everything else. And here's the story about it. 15 human breast cancer cases respond to mouse-tested therapy. All 15 women had their cancer wiped out using his metabolic therapy. And you know what happened to him? You know what happened to Dr. Harold Manner? After 30 years at Loyola University, he was fired. He was fired, left penniless, and had to move to Mexico and worked in a clinic in Mexico and still tried to tell a story. He wrote a book called The Death of Cancer, the story of vitamin B17. Here, I have it right here. I'm just showing you this for the first time.
Wow.
It says the story of the research involving Laetrile that dropped a bombshell on orthodoxy. Now, many of the people that watch me have seen this, but you've never seen this, and we became friends. Well, part of the reason, first of all, I loved your presentation and loved everything about you and your heartfelt story. But we became friends. A lot of it because you said, "Yeah, my mom cured her breast cancer with apricot seed." Now, I can't say that. I don't say cure even on this network because I don't believe there's a cure for cancer. I believe if you go back to eating the same garbage you used to eat, the cancer would come roaring back.
Exactly.
But isn't that amazing that this information that I have at my fingertips now should have been known for the last 47 years, but they covered it up, fired him, and got rid of him.
Yeah.
That's the battle we're up against. And anybody that thinks that battle's ended just because, we have more technology and all that kind of stuff, cancer is a $2 trillion a year industry. And when we come up with, if you just eat the food, if you just pick the right food in the grocery store, you can avoid getting cancer. You are censored probably in cases, but I know first of all, you're educated, you know what you're talking about. So it's a little bit easier for you to slide past that. But do you have any stories about like that, how you've been censored? Matter of fact, I don't know if
oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I was 21 when I healed the tumor, right? And then God led me to create the Earth Diet and start the blog. And I shared my story. The blog went viral. and it went everywhere. India, Dubai, Australia, America. And I had people from all around the world messaging me. But I had Australian newspapers publishing saying I was a quack and that this information would kill people. And I had people writing into me online saying, I hope that your mother dies. And I was 21 and I didn't know anyone else in this industry doing this. I did not have support like I have now, right? Like now I have you and all these amazing people at the Kellogg's rally and Vani Hari and Max Goldberg. And I mean, just so many people, but I was alone and I completely shut down. I was like, zip. And I ended up getting a multiple book deal from the blog, but I was so afraid to really speak the truth because of this censorship. And so I stayed silent for years and years and years. And I was still promoting the Earth Diet and promoting things, but in a very like timid way. And I know that I didn't reach as many people as what I really could have reached if I wasn't stopped and censored. And now it's so much easier. Like now I can say things online that I could not have said 15 years ago. You know, they were taking down websites. They were putting people on the quack list. I remember like my job for like years and years was just like, do not get on the quack list. Do not get on the quack list. And, you know, now I don't really care. But I did a TEDx talk. It got banned, taken down. It went viral overnight. People were attacking each other in the comments, like the natural world versus the ultra processed food world, saying like, no, natural foods have diseases. And the natural people were like, you're going to die from eating processed food. So they took it down. So I'm on the ban list for that. Like, I have been so censored, and now, you know, I'm 37 and I'm like, enough is enough. Now I have more of a voice than I've ever had before. And I'm like, every day I'm like, God, use my voice. Where do you want to use my voice? And now I'm just, it's such a better time now because we have this support and we have more and more people talking about it. But yeah, when I started, you know, 16 years ago, it was not popular and it was certainly not allowed.
Yeah, you can go on YouTube now, and I know you know the story, and watch a video about how dangerous apricot seeds are, which is all a lie. But the comments, the 1,600 comments, are 98.5% positive. It's amazing, but that's all they'll get on YouTube is the negative stuff. So we both experienced that, and it's a pleasure to be locked arms with you and open each other's eyes about stuff, because I might be the expert as a historian about these things that I've done, because I can't wait to share a lot more of this stuff with you. I've got literally, I don't know if you know this, but the NIH did a study in 2023 that amygdalin causes apoptosis in cancer cells, causes cell death. Their studies have been done, they've been published, but you won't hear about them anywhere. But the truth is getting out there, and people are saying things on stage, like RFK Jr. when he said things on stage that would have got him thrown in jail 5 years ago for telling the truth. All we have to do is bring people back to God's natural. Instead of drinking carrot juice with 20 ingredients in it, we can drink carrot juice that just says carrot juice. Mm-hmm. So that's what we got to get back to. And then there's the struggle of making stuff be, you know, even more being actually more accessible to us. That's better food, because even if you get the carrots that are in the grocery store, sometimes they're not organically grown and they're full of other pesticides and things like that we have to worry about. But that's step 2.
Yeah.
Step is trying to be honest about not putting poisons in our food. So we do have a minute left. What I'd really like you to do is let people know where they can find you, where they can see the list of foods that you recommend, what's the best way to. Now, they can always go to our website and get the book there, but how do they find you, and how do they follow you on social media?
The easiest way is just to Google the Earth Diet, and then I'll come up everywhere on Amazon, on Facebook, Instagram, and then you'll see my name, Liana Werner Gray, and I have my accounts on Instagram, Facebook for me as well. So that's the easiest way. Just always remember the Earth Diet and spread the good word too. Yeah.
Now, anybody watching this that wants to put you on their podcast, do you have an email that they can send to, or how do people get a hold of you for representing their product or things like that? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so just go to theearthdiet.com and then send a message there, and it'll reach my team, and I'll get that. So theearthdiet.com.
John Richardson sent me, because so that way people will really pay attention, right?
Yes, you need to say John Richardson. Yep, apricot seeds. He sent me, and yes. I've got my apricot seeds here and my little supplement that I love to send out with people with the book. These go so well together.
They do fantastic together, and God bless you. I'm so happy you're here. again, or Hidden Healings Uncensored on the Braveheart Network. You can go to the store and get the products, and we'll probably even be able to get Liana's book up there. But support those that are supporting you, that want you to live, not those that want you to die. God bless you, Liana, and can't wait to catch up more.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me, and great to meet you guys.
And that's great.
And just remember, more importantly, with every package that you buy, we put a salvation track in there. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for allowing us to do what we believe that God has us here to do. And just remember, God loves you.
He really does.
Transform your health with the power of light. Introducing the future of natural healing. Are you seeking a natural, effective way to enhance your well-being, reduce pain, and accelerate healing? If you're looking for quick fixes or ignoring the importance of natural health solutions, this might not be for you. Backed by years of research and testimonials from health professionals, our quantum energy infrared light harnesses the scientifically proven benefits of red and infrared light therapy. Designed for those who value holistic health practices, our device offers a non-invasive, drug-free method to support your body's natural healing processes. Visit QEstrong.com now to discover how quantum energy can revolutionize your health routine. Experience deeper sleep, enhanced muscle recovery, reduced inflammation, and improved skin health, all with just a few minutes of use each day. Don't miss out on the healing power of quantum energy. Visit QEstrong.com and learn more to take the first step toward the healthier you. Join the thousands who have already discovered the life-changing benefits of quantum energy. It's time to prioritize your health and well-being. Unlock the healing power of light. The quantum effect wipes out pain and allergy symptoms in less than 30 seconds with 0 drugs. Pastor Dave and hundreds of others have experienced the quantum effect for themselves. It's backed by scientific research and rigorous lab testing. Quantum is simply about 2 things. 1, intentions, as a man thinketh so he is, and 2, renewing your mind with the Word of God. Only QE Strong encodes key intentions and Bible verses about healing onto the small patch. You simply place it on your body each day, and with a bonus prayer guide, read out loud a positive intention and 1 or 2 Bible verses about healing each day. The patch provides the touch, and the prayer guide uses your sight, speech, and hearing to relieve pain and allergy symptoms with the senses God gave you. It even works for people who have suffered decades of chronic symptoms. Are you ready to experience the quantum effect?
Go to QEstrong.com and use code FAITH at checkout.